Welcome into the first episode of the Sideline Stories podcast with Siena Great, class of 2016, Ryan Oliver, and myself, Connor Fenlon. We are very fortunate to be joined by 2010 graduate. He was part of the winningest class in Siena history, a three-time MAC champion, a first-team All-MAC selection, first in Siena history in assists, third in Siena history in steals, still known around the Capital Region as Mr. Double Order, Ronald Moore. Thanks for joining us, Ron.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me, fellas. Thanks for having me.
So the first thing our question is catch the Siena Saints fans up with what's the newest, what's the latest with Ronald Moore.
So about as a week, 2 weeks now, some around that time frame, I signed a new contract for my 11th year to go to Croatia for a team. I think it's pronounced Cibona, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. In the capital of Croatia, in Zagreb. So I'm excited about the experience, place I've never been. Heard a lot about the league. So just looking out there to go do and, play at the highest level and be the best I can possibly be. This far along has definitely been a blessing to keep playing the game of basketball that I love for this long. So I definitely don't take none of these opportunities for granted. So I look to make the most of it.
Absolutely.
So talk us through the process. The team reach out to your agent, and then your agent kind of tells you your offers, and how do you kind of do your research beforehand on the best fit for you?
Well, we can go back from the beginning. It was kind of just like, just happy to get a contract. The agent who I'm with now is not who I originally started out with. But that's kind of like you said, agents either whether they're reaching out to teams or vice versa, who may be interested in me, and kind of get just the numbers that float around just in general and kind of bring it to me. And if it's something that I'm willing and, willing to take or something that I want to do, then we go ahead and proceed and try to nail the contract down. But things obviously can happen in a matter of 48 hours. Sometimes the process is a little bit, more suspenseful, not knowing what's going to happen. For instance, like with this deal, I've heard about it probably at the beginning of July. And, I stated that, I was interested in taking it, didn't hear anything for some weeks. And then, came back, like I said, a week or 2 weeks ago, and everything kind of happened and transpired within 48 hours. So it's kind of a stressful game if, for people that might not be used to something like that year to year, not knowing where you're going to play, if you'll get a contract and win. So.
So what's it like? I know you've played on some teams in the same area for a while, but what's it like to be in a different place, year in and year out?
There's just ups and there's downs. The unknown of what to expect, and not only will you enjoy your teammates or your coach, but even outside of the basketball world, whether just how you'll adapt to the culture and how the locals will treat you. So I've always, for the most part, had, been blessed to be in good places where people accepted me, had good teammates. Coaches are, hit or miss. But at the end of the day, it's basketball and it's business. So you just actually got to come and do your job and be a professional and do what you have to do.
Do the coaches mainly speak English, or how's the language barrier for you typically?
So I've been lucky enough to have coaches that speak English, except for 1 year when I was in Ukraine.
Okay.
We had a translator. Didn't work too well most of the time. I kind of end up just calling whatever I wanted to call, just because that middleman, especially in a in-game situation, to say something to the translator to hurry up and get it to me, that's time wasted. So I just kind of just played off of my intuition and try to be, the leader on the court or the coach on the court, and made my own calls. But throughout the years, I've been fortunate enough to have coaches who spoke English, some greater than others, but, basketball terms is basketball terms worldwide. So it's pretty simple.
Yeah, and a lot of the places you've been are, mostly known for soccer, a lot of those places, but there's a lot of passion, that comes with basketball over there. The arenas aren't the same size as they are over in America, but talk a little bit about the support and, how much the fans help when you're playing over there.
It's real. I've been in some places where, it's, you feel that pressure even when the game is over. They take it very serious, very passionate, and you got to respect it, man. Because, obviously we as a, American as a whole, or definitely get behind our teams and, sometimes go to the farthest extent to being really a true fanatic. I think on average, everybody is like that in Europe. And you got to love it, especially when you're winning and they get behind you. And it's really a home court advantage. Winning on the road in Europe is definitely to another level because it's definitely tough to do. The refs won't admit it, but, they're definitely against you too when you're on the road. But winning on the road is a big task playing in Europe.
Do you have any interesting stories where, fans have thrown stuff at you guys, the opposing team, or rush the court maybe?
Most definitely. Not even just opposing team. I had our own fans.
Oh, really?
1 year in Italy, didn't get off to a hot start. 3 coaches in. I think we were like 0-10, 0-12. So, we had to get escorted out. Our own gym, other gyms, fans just not really, happy with our play. I've even had a sit down, myself and another Italian teammate, because I was kind of like the American captain at the time. And we had like a sit down with, you can say, like the leaders of the dog pound, to help, people understand. And they let us know, like this is not a vacation. And for lack of better words, like I said, man, they take it to another level, and it's a good and bad thing because I feel like the fans kind of can dictate, a lot of things in the organization is where it shouldn't be that way. But they're the ones that's buying the tickets, and those are the people who are most of the time who are the sponsors as well. So they got to try to make everybody happy.
How would you compare how the game is, officiated or played, compared to the U.S., over the places you've been overseas?
I definitely think it's a lot more physical. Obviously every country differs on how they call certain things. And then when you're playing in like Champions League or Euro Cup, so you got to kind of adapt from when you're playing in domestic games versus international games because everything is officiated a little differently. But it's definitely a little bit more physical play, which for me, as long as the refs can decide how they're going to ref the game, I can adapt and play to how they're going to ref. I just hate when refs let somebody get murdered on one end and then call it foul on the other, and just call it one way and stick with it. That's all I ask.
Well, we know the Siena fans remember the slap. If anyone puts their hand on Ronald Moore's hip, slapping it off. We all remember that all the time. So
that's from late great Charles Moore, my dad, who kind of taught me those is, get their hands off you, and I still do it to this day. Funny story too is can't think of the American player now off the top of my head. Went to West Virginia. Oh man, going blank on his name, might come to me, but we were playing each other in a friendly game, scrimmage, but prior to the season starting, and he's guarding me, and I'm doing that, and I did it twice, and then like immediately like, yo, where are you from? And I guess he knows, it's only certain people who do that. So
yeah,
I'm from Philly. He's like, oh yeah, because he was from New York City. Man, I can't think of his name right now. But we kind of became cool. Yeah, Truck Bryant. That's what it is. Yeah, Truck. I was playing against Truck at the time, and it was just funny because I did that, and he immediately was like, yo, where you from? So it's funny you bring that up.
Typically on a team, like how many Americans can range from your team overseas?
So most of the time in first division is usually across the board is usually max out at 5. And then once you get to like the second divisions, in most countries, you max out at like 2. So when they mean international, it's not always Americans. It's just somebody that's not from that country. They kind of changed the rules too, where they have like different breakdowns where you can have like a combination of say 3 Americans and say 3 foreigners. So that's when you get a lot of American guys that might have like Nigerian background or some other background where they use their passport there. And you'll have like 6 or 7 Americans on the team, but when they use their own passport, they're technically not American per se. So it all varies from country to country, but that's usually on average the numbers.
If you know Ron Moore like I do, I know he's a huge Eagles fan, huge sports fan. So what's it like, with the time difference to have to watch, sports back in America when you're overseas?
Well, I got get the NFL, Game Pass now. So normally I just catch it the next day, try to stay off social media or
Yeah.
something like that. So, but usually like if it's the big game, for instance, when we won the Super Bowl, I definitely was up at 4 a.m. My entire neighbors weren't happy about that day, yelling and screaming, drunk as well. And, I mean, it's definitely tough, but even especially with NBA games, I usually don't even really catch many, especially during the regular season.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of the NBA during the regular season unless it's a highlighted game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's kind of how it is mainly for football. I usually catch it the next day.
Obviously, if you follow Ronald Moore, you just got out of playing in the TBT. So you were one of the first people to go into this bubble everyone keeps talking about. Now the NBA is doing it, the NHL is doing it. So take us through what that experience was like. I know you got called to your team just before the bubble, so you probably were not even like ready for that. But take us through that experience.
It was pretty cool. I think that I didn't really think that the TBT was going to even happen this year. So when I kind of found out that it was, it kind of gave me something to look forward to and kind of do. And I just loved that. I loved everything about the TBT. And then with the bubble idea, kind of just gave you a sense of like going to like an AAU tournament, which, growing up, everybody loved. And so I didn't really know what to expect, but I mean, really hats off to TBT. I think they did an excellent job being tested twice prior to going out there and making sure you had negative results. And then once you got there, it's just almost like a 4-stage process from checking in, grabbing stuff here to the next station, getting your credentials, checking bags, and testing it immediately once you got there, and then technically being on lockdown in your hotel room until you came back with another negative test. So it was pretty good, man. I think the food got off to a rough start, got a little bad rep, but I mean, us winning the first round, you kind of see the change at the food they was feeding us. I mean, we was eating good carabas, steak and potatoes. So, it was definitely good food as the days went on. And, testing every day in the morning. And but it was, like I said, it was a good experience. I had some guys on my team that I played with in Europe and some guys that I already knew. So it made it a little bit better. And obviously it was a new team and new experience, but I enjoyed it all in all.
So you just tweeted out, I need to make a roster, and an hour later it happened? That's the Ronald Moore.
I mean, to be honest with you, I was kind of surprised at how fast it did happen. I was just tweet this out here just to see what feedback I get, because at that point in time, I figured it was kind of probably too late, but I go ahead and try it anyway. But I guess it was a lot of teams trying to fill roster spots just because a lot of guys didn't want to do it because of the bubble and didn't know what to expect. Didn't want to put themselves, I guess, in that situation. But that was probably the safest I felt doing all this coronavirus, to be honest, since I've been home, because everybody was getting tested every day and everybody was coming back negative. So you just knew that it was pretty much a corona-free space to be, all in all. So I was quite unexpected to get that quick of a response, but it worked out.
Would you think? Did you feel any pressure, like if you did test positive, the whole team had to leave, like a lot of weight on your shoulders?
Well, that's why I think it kind of helped too, because like I said, I tested twice prior to going out there, so it was like within 5 days. It was like I got tested one day, and then 2 days later I got tested again, like a day before I got there. Well, I was heading out there, and originally the team was gonna fly me out, and I was like, let me just drive, which I kind of wasn't in contact with anybody, so sure. I felt pretty good about not being the guy that brought virus to the bubble, and there were a few there, so which kind of sucks for everybody else that if they did prepare and were practicing, or did all just not lose out on that opportunity.
Could you see them moving to that format, like post COVID as well, where everyone's in one spot, less teams, and just kind of maybe easier to manage on their end?
I definitely think so. I definitely think a lot of guys actually enjoy that kind of that setup, but I think as far as the TV and the sponsorships that the TBT, plans on getting, I think it's probably best for them to have those multiple locations and fans actually paying to come to the games. And selling their merchandise and stuff like that. It's kind of a lot of money that they missed out on, which was, I think, the reason why they reduced it from 2 million to, I think it was 1.2 this go around. But I definitely like the idea of it all being in one location if it can work out. But I like both aspects of it, whether different locations and then going to that next round and it being somewhere else. So
the one thing I love about the TBT, because there was no other sports, all their games were televised, which
exactly
for everyone to get to see you again, because playing overseas, you might get a game online, but it could be at all hours of the night.
Yeah.
So what was it like to have your friends and family be able to watch you live in the U.S.?
It was great, man. That's why I was and I didn't even really think about it until I was actually there and people started like hitting me up saying they were tuning in. I'm like, oh shoot, I forgot that I'm playing back at home. Like mom telling me she done told all the friends and family. I'm like, I gotta actually lock in a little bit. But obviously, the guys that we played with Purdue was definitely a great experience. I definitely wish, playing back home was other, different circumstances because I felt, I could have helped the team out more than I had the opportunity to. So I don't like losing as it is, but I think just going into it knowing like I might play, I might not, kind of helped me. But it's definitely fun to have people knowing they were tuning in and watching us, which like you said, me being in Europe, the opportunities for people to watch are very slim, far in between. So it was definitely fun to be able to play back home on home soil.
So can Siena fans expect a Siena team back into it in the near future?
Yeah, I'm definitely with it. I know one thing, winning the money. I know if I won this year, I probably wouldn't have went over this year, to be honest with you. I might have been like, what,
yeah.
I'm good. But it definitely be good to get the guys together and really put up, I think a really good team. Whether I'm leading the charge or Finland or you guys are leading the charge, but anything I can help to kind of make that happen and really I think prepare and get ready for it. I'm all for it. I definitely think guys now are not half-assing it. I don't know if I can curse a little bit on this show or not. Guys are really practicing getting to it. I mean, the Purdue team did a great job. I mean, we had scouting reports before every game. We had plays. So I definitely think from when I first started the TBT, I think how serious people are taking it, I think is what you need to win this thing now. So I'll be interested in doing something as a Siena alumni team.
We'll try our best to get a team together and not have 4 bigs and 1 guard. It's a work in progress. But let's change up gears a little bit. Let's go back, into the past. And you're a senior in high school. Coach McCaffrey comes in, watches you play. What was it about Siena that stood out that made you want to go there?
Well, it's funny. I mean, funny story. I probably didn't told this story many a times, but me and Coach Mack had a mutual friend, family friend. So I kind of ran into Coach Mack before that night's game. By Mrs. Bucci, who's a family friend who lived next door to Coach Mack's mom, who passed away, RIP. And he was just happened to be coming out of his mom's house, and I was just visiting this lady who she kind of helps with, like kind of physical therapy in a sense. And she just happened to say, and I didn't really know that they were coming at the time. And she was like, "Oh, hey, friend, like, what you doing in this area?" And he's like, and I was in the car. He's like, "Yeah, I'm coming to check out this kid." And he like having a look. He's like, "Actually, I'm coming to watch him tonight." It was kind of a funny story that how our first interaction was that. And at that time it was a lot of low mid majors that were coming to watch me play. I had a good game that night, and he offered me right after the game. And with my mom and my dad and my brother, who already went through that process before, helping me along and going up to visit, just that, he got guys like Tay and times like Kojo and Mrs. like Haddix, a couple other guys, and just the family values that they, kind of implemented was big for my, my parents to let, me being away from home, knowing that I'd be in good hands, and just knowing the opportunity to coming in and playing right away was also a big thing. And not really knowing Alex Franklin that much, but kind of knowing of him being and playing in PA, and heard a lot of high reviews about Edwin. So knowing we had a good, incoming class, kind of sealed the deal for me. It was technically kind of late. It was my senior year. I committed in December. So it was pretty late decision. But it ended up working out, to say the least.
No, absolutely. Talk about you and Coach Fran's relationship. Like you said, that's how you guys met. But he gave you a lot of trust from the beginning, and you were able to obviously keep earning that trust throughout your career. Just talk about how you guys' relationship grew from start to end, or even till now. Excuse me.
It's been good. Coach Mack, like I said, took me under his wing from day one and really just let me play my game. Which is not many coaches allow players to do that. They kind of try to change your game, but he knew that I was a true point guard and didn't put pressure on me to score the ball, but really just get people involved and make plays and react on my own instincts and make plays for myself when needed. And I never felt that pressure from him that if I did make a mistake, worry about coming out the game. So it allowed me to be aggressive in that sense, and the good outweighed the bad. So I guess he let me keep going, keep rocking out. And this family, Miss McCaffrey, the kids, like I said, we're going over their house throughout those 4 years, and our relationship with my parents and them kind of made us that much closer, and always stayed in contact. He came to my wedding, and I just seen him. I think it was last year. I went down to the shore and seen him because they were in the area. So anytime they're close by, I try to link up with them, and we still stay close to this day.
That's great. He definitely preached the family atmosphere, and he still adheres to that in Iowa. But you're obviously part of the winningest class in Siena history. What obviously there was a lot of talent in that class, but what really went into that? The bonds off the court. What really made you guys so tight and so cohesive when you got on the court?
I think it goes back to the coaches, man. They did a great job recruiting guys, kind of finding that right mode and guys coming in and buying in. I think Coach Mack did a great job at managing egos, and that's kind of the main thing, because it's successful where we are. We never really bumped heads, that often. Because obviously, everybody has their own personal goals. But obviously not knowing that, these team goals that we achieve surpass anything that we done individually, because, that's like you said, we're the most winning team in program history, and guys remember us collectively and then individually. So I think the coaches did a great job of bringing guys in, and us guys that were already there kind of just making sure the new guys came in were welcome and really buying into what we were doing and making sure everybody stuck together, whether it was on the court or off the court. Because I think that camaraderie translates from off the court onto court really well. And man, I was crazy back then too. I think I did a good job of, trying to manage everything between off the court and on the court, man, and just keeping guys together. And we had fun while doing it. I think that was the most important part, man. We had fun all the time, and even when times looked like it might have went bad for us, we were able to pull it out a lot of times, and that made it special.
Definitely. And speaking on that, what would you say was probably the biggest adjustment, just playing college basketball?
I think the pace of the game, especially the style play that we played. I was considered to be fast, but in high school, you do get up and down. But a lot of times, you slow it up. High school coaches want to run a play, but just the speed of the game, offensively and defensively at the college level, was definitely, I think, the biggest adjustment. With the shot clock. I know in PA we didn't have a shot clock, so just understanding time and score, and when and when not. That time management definitely was another level with the speed of the game when I went to college.
And you're tied with the great Kenny Hasbrook in the most career starts at Siena, and if obviously anyone that watches Ron knows he just sprints up and down the court all game. What went into that? I know in your bio you said you would run track if you didn't do and play basketball, but how did you get your body ready for so many games every year?
I've just been fortunate enough to stay pretty healthy majority of my career. But when I running track, I was a long distance runner. So for me, going from running miles to only have to go up and down the court a few times, and I get to stop, and there's timeouts. Definitely played into my favor. So I think all those years from when I was young, running miles and running long distance, it was an easy transition for me playing basketball because that endurance and that stamina was already there for me. So it allowed me to play those massive minutes night in and night out.
Who would you say you pretty much lived with during your Siena career? Like, did you have a go-to roommate on the team, or?
Well, I was roommates with Ed all throughout my career, and I feel like I probably know Ed the best just simply because we were roommates for so years, and Ed being a quiet guy and people not really knowing him. Ed can talk, Ed can definitely get going, and but Kenny was kind of like my big dog. He was always together, always doing stuff off the court together. So outside of my roommate, Kenny was kind of my next closest guy on the team. Just being like he was kind of like the big brother role for me while I was at Siena.
So we obviously know about the double onions, the big Ohio State game. So I have to ask, how often do you hear about that? Like is it once a week? Is it once a day? Like how many times are people contacting you or saying stuff about that?
Nah, I think it's anytime I'm in the 518, people, they kind of bring back to where they were during that time watching the game. So which is special, and I don't hear about it too much nowadays, but obviously in recent years after it happened, it was all anybody could really talk about. So it's definitely, I guess, my staple in Siena history, and it was definitely a good time and a surreal moment. And as I say many times, everybody dreams about hitting the big shots, and to be able to do it in the tournament on that stage is something that I can never forget.
Of course, man. That's how I found out about Siena through you, Brian. So I definitely remember that moment, and I remember where I was as well because you ruined my bracket. So
yeah.
But obviously, get to know you has been great. So going back to kind of like league play or in college, you guys had huge success. Was there like one team where you knew you had to like really get up for and really play hard, or?
Oh man, I think I can't attest to it now because I don't watch enough games. But the MAC at that point in time, man, had a lot of talent, and for us to do what we did with the talent in that league during that time, just it's crazy to think about. I mean, it wasn't really too many teams that we could overlook, and for us to really kind of run the MAC during those years was, like I said, is a feat in itself. I mean, you had Ryder with Jason Thompson and Ryan Thompson, and I see Ryan Thompson to this day. I think it was my junior year. If he didn't get hurt, it could go a different way. You had Niagara with Sharon Fisher and Tyrone Lewis and them, and going up there to play them. I mean, I want to say our record going up there is not that great going up to Niagara because they handed to us a couple of times going up there. You had towards the end of my senior years, you had the Fairfield with young Derek Needham. Iona with Scott Machado and the boys. So it was a lot of people in the league that was really talented. And even when my younger years, Marist was top dog with Jared Jordan. That's was us coming in as freshmen. So it depending on the year. I think on average though, I think Ryder and Niagara, I think throughout my 4 years career was kind of the big games that we kind of had to get up for. But all the people that I've named in different teams, we had to be ready at all times.
Yeah, well, as you speak about the MAC is near obviously where you're from. So there was a lot of players you probably played against growing up that went into the MAC. So what were those relationships like? Going one-on-one with guys like Bilal Ben and those kind of Philly guys that are all spread out through the MAC.
It was good, and which is sad to say that because I don't talk as much trash as I used to. And I definitely used to talk. Which I'll get back to too about when I first came in. They were good, and they obviously is much mutual respect and good friends with a lot of these guys now. But mean, me and Tyrone Lewis played on the same AAU team, and Bilal Ben was on an older AAU team who was at Niagara. And then you look at Ryder with you had Matty Griffin, who was on our AAU team. And so there's a lot of guys just throughout the league, like you said, being that our conference is close to, being home. And me talking, no matter who it was, just made the intensity level go that much higher. So during those 4 years, we might have not been as cool, when we seen each other in the off season and whatnot. But I mean, it just made for some epic battles, and I'm just happy that I was able to be on the winning side of those for the majority of those 4 years I was in college.
Definitely. And then your senior year, you led the nation in assists. Let's talk about that. Like, let's talk about just how you were able to find guys. You talked earlier how you're so good in transition. You like to run. What came to it? Was it simple, or leading up to it? Was that your goal to it, or what?
I mean, for me, it felt pretty simple. Just because I think the guys that surrounded me, it was like I made it known, like, be ready at all times. And I put guys in position to score these baskets. So it's just that chemistry that we had it's easy for me to find Clarence Jackson on the wing for open three, or it's easy for the drop off pass for Rossiter or Alex Franklin, or, find Ed on the wing or throwing the lob to them, so just having that connection with these guys, just playing for them for those majority of those guys for those 4 years, you kind of you build those connections they know when it's coming even before it's coming. So that kind of is a test to our chemistry as a team. And they made my life, easier too, to be able to create for them, just because, I deal with guys now, I can pass them the ball and hit them upside the head and have no idea that it's coming, or even realize that they're even open. So, it's really just, like I said, the chemistry is a test to that. And, I appreciate them for finishing off the plays, because if they don't score, I don't get the assist. So, I'm definitely blessed to have great teammates, and that's the reason why we're so successful.
So what you're saying is the bigs overseas don't run like Ryan and Al up the court?
Dude, not at all. Not at all. But some figure it out and realize how I'm getting them some easy baskets, and it motivates them a little bit more. So that's why, over the years, a lot of guys kind of love playing with me, just because, I find them and they get an open shot. It's much better shooting an open jump shot than having to shoot a contested one. So
yeah, because once you play with you realize that you're not looking to shoot first. Nowadays all the point guards just want to shoot.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's hard for these bigs. The bigs want to get in rebounding position, because that's the only time they're going to get any touches. So it's
exactly. It's definitely a lost art these days. Everybody wants to put the ball in the basket, which, I mean, it's all not saying there's nothing wrong with it, but I think as a point guard, you got to find that common balance.
No, absolutely. What I know your brother played college basketball, played overseas. Talk about his role, kind of just obviously helping you throughout the way, but just having him as a role model and looking up to, and kind of just teach you the ropes.
I mean, I think I got to give him almost all the credit. Simply just because, when you're a kid and you're watching and seeing the success that he has, and him playing in, these arenas. And I think the most eye-opening thing was when he was at Vanderbilt and going to the Georgia Dome and watching the SEC tournament. And you seeing the Kentuckys, the Tayshaun Princes of the world, and, seeing these guys playing, it's just like, like I want to play at this level. Like I want to go against these guys. And then, having in high school and winning the state championship. So you're seeing the success. So that just really just motivated me, He did a good job at, never let me win, kind of pushing me. And so, you kind of just see the format and the layout, right, the blueprint right in front of you. So it was a little added pressure just because, it took me a while to become Ronald Moore. Because the majority of the time was just Chuck's little brother. For a lot of years. So but I think it only helped me and motivated me to become the player that I am.
Yeah, talk a little bit about the motivation. You have some of the best support at any game, you know, when you play in that team. I'm sure you have a lot of support overseas, but people probably can't get there as easy as they can
Yeah.
from. But talk a little bit about the motivation, you know, with your mom in the crowd, you know, filming you know, what did that do to you, you know, motivating wise?
I mean, it's you know, I think any kid, you know, if you have your parents supporting you, it means everything in the world. Even though I try to tell her not to come to some games that didn't really, like, why are you driving up to us to watch the play Canisius in the middle of December? So I just think it means everything in the world as a kid. I think to have that support, you know, knowing that she's, you know, rooting you on and picking you up no matter, you know, whether you lose, whether you win. We had a good game, whether you had a bad game. I think for any kid that's important. You know, me being a parent now, you know, that's kind of like, you know, because she did that, it's already instilled to me to always be there for whatever he takes interest in and supporting him. Because I think it's definitely, it means a lot for a kid, and it only can help them to grow and be successful in wherever they take part in.
You got Cam running sprints yet or not yet?
No, not yet. I haven't even, you know, I know that a lot of people try to put the ball in the kid's hands from the beginning. He's getting everything, man. I think it's important to let him to be a kid,
sure,
and just let it naturally, you know, come to him. And when it happens naturally like that, and they fall in love with it themselves, you know, I'll be right there to jump in and show him what he needs to do to get to where he wants to go.
Absolutely. Is he gonna be powered? Hopefully, he's wearing a Moore Brothers jersey soon or something. You know, get that going.
Yeah. You know, obviously everybody thinks that he's gonna automatically play basketball, but you know, you never know. So that's why I think if you don't put the pressure on your kid from the beginning, like I feel like a lot of parents do, which I don't. You know, I'm not a fan of.
Mm-hmm.
I think just, you know, by him watching me play, he might naturally just fall in love with it. Or just, well, you know, going to something, maybe Sixers games or anything, just watching the sport of basketball. He'll naturally just, you know, love it and probably naturally have a knack for it. No parent wants to pay college tuition, so whatever you do, hopefully gets a scholarship at any day that he does. So we'll see, man. It's you just enjoying the while, you know, as it goes on.
Sure. Speaking about your brother, you know, what did it mean when you guys teamed up to start Moore Brothers Basketball? You know, giving back to your area, giving back to your community. What has that meant to you personally?
It's good, man. It's you know, it's kind of surreal just because you always, at some point, you always think about, you know, giving back, and it's cool to have, you know, kids running around with T-shirts with your last name on it, and just kind of just being that staple in the community and people knowing who you are, whether you're out going grocery shopping, and then, you know, knowing that you're helping kids get better in the sport that they could be, you know, become a profession in. So we're 5 years in now, and I think we slowly keep growing each year. Just kind of, you know, adapt with the times, trying to right what we did wrong in the past and doing something new, and fixing that the following year. So for both of us, man, we really enjoy it. I think we both, that interaction with kids, but just going to camps, and, you know, that bonds between counselors and campers are something special for kids. So to be able to get that to them in our community is something that we love to do, and happy that we're able to do it.
Did you ever think we'd be at a point where you had to do Zoom workouts, you know, for the kids?
I didn't. I actually got to thank my boy Ant, was one of my good friends, that kind of, like, I guess you could say, getting us ahead of the curve of some other people, because there's some other trainers and people that do camps that kind of follow suit of what we did. But my boy Ant had told me about his boy in California who was already doing it, like, right when it all down, he like immediately put it together, and he's like, "Yo, you guys should do this." And I'm like, "Yeah, I mean," and I definitely think the added feature when we started getting special guests was really all the difference for the kids, because even for the parents, we, like, when it came to guest speaking times, a lot of the parents hopped on the background asking questions, so it was pretty cool. I mean, and that's good to the connections that I've built, the guys that I've known that play at that top level. Shout out to them to be able to hop on the call. You know, these kids, you know, get excited when they see somebody that either they know already or are playing against one of the top athletes that they do know. So it was cool to have a lot of those guys coming in, you know, give them wisdom and keep motivating them.
I love how you have the 3-on-3 league within the Moore brothers. I think it's, tremendously important for the youth to not play so much 5-on-5, but to really break it down in 3-on-3. What was kind of the mindset for that? Is that kind of the same format you followed growing up and playing, or?
Well, yeah, my dad, he been training kids, and obviously we used to work out with him. And his big thing is half court basketball, just because the intensity level really rises. Sometimes gets a little heated over the years through my dad's workouts, and it was another thing about having it outside, just because a lot of times these parks nowadays, a lot of kids don't play outside, so these basketball courts have been empty and not being used. So the community was really excited about us doing that in general. And like you said about the 5-on-5 thing, just understanding the game in a more simplistic way is big for them, and also allows the kids that might not be as talented, gives them more opportunity touching the ball, because in 5-on-5 at that age, maybe one or two kids are dominating the ball and other kids never getting the touches. But in 3-on-3, it kind of really eliminates that, because at some point you're going to have to give it to that other kid, whether you like it or not. So I think the parents really love it. The kids really enjoy it. We got our championship week coming up this week, and it starts to get intense, and the parents really come out for it. So it's all in good fun, and this is our 5th year doing it, and that's pretty much the reason why we did the 3-on-3, because, like you said, it simplifies the games. The kids get more touches, and just being that basketball life in the outdoors back again.
Yeah, I think what you're doing is great. 3-on-3 academy, because the AAU basketball as a whole, I think, has really gone down, in the last couple of years. So now it's just, what team am I on this week? You're flying the guys everywhere, and it's the same guys playing every week. So,
yeah,
I think it's better for the people that, are going to get exposure or want to learn the game, in the summer.
Yeah.
And, what you guys do is great. Maybe do we have maybe an AAU team in the future, a more AAU team, or
we actually it's funny, because a parent came to us about it over the last week. Trying to get us to put us, they love everything that we're doing, and one of the kids trains with my brother, and they're trying to get us to start one up. So I definitely think within the next year or so might be something we put together, and not doing anything big, because I think a lot of times, these AAU programs, they got 10, 12 teams in different age groups, and it starts to become more about the money than anything. I think my brother and myself probably might just have a team each, and kind of just grow with these kids, from each year. Start with a young age group, and go with them until they go into college, and kind of just reset and start the ball all over again. So kind of more of a small AAU thing, and kind of tap into the AAU world, because I think ourselves, we thought about doing AAU tournaments ourselves. So it's another avenue we can tap into and do. So I think that's something that will happen in the near future.
I know your schedule's full when you're overseas, but have you ever thought about starting like a branch off location of Moore Brothers basketball, and maybe giving back if there's any free time?
Well, I know definitely when I'm in Europe, I've had multiple parents who have kids who are fans of the team that I'm playing for, who always try to have us host a Moore Brothers camp or something of that nature. So it's kind of tough to do, because most of the time when the season's over, I'm ready to get back home, and don't want to stick around and do something. So what I try to do now is I usually kind of get shirts made while I'm over there, and give them out to the kids and whatnot. So it's it's, I don't know if we'll ever branch off and do something else. I really worry about protecting the brand and making sure when people are wearing the Moore Brothers, that they're doing it correctly. So it's if we did do it, we have to make sure we got the right people involved.
We're gonna do a little, some quick hitter questions. Go from there. But what's your favorite food?
Fried chicken, man. It's bad. It's bad, the addiction I have, but it's fried chicken though.
Is it specific to any place, or just in general?
Just in general, man. I learned to cook it myself. So when I'm in Europe, I usually cook it. But when I'm home, I can't really go past a Popeyes or KFC without pulling in these days.
Definitely. Favorite movie?
Man, So for years it's been Money Talks. I'm a big Chris Tucker fan.
Classic.
So that's kind of been the one that's I laugh every time I watch it. But any kind of Chris Tucker movie, is right up there.
Okay.
Are you someone that binges Netflix for hours at a time overseas, or are you just you catch on to one show and that's what you're gonna watch?
I kind of try to do one show at a time. It can get a little crazy when you try to do multiple shows, because then I'm forgetting names. I'm forgetting what happened the last episode. I kind of stick to maybe like one or two and kind of just bang them out, and then go on to the next show. What
would you say your favorite TV show is right now?
Oh man, I'm late to the game and I haven't finished it up, but wife and I we started How to Get Away with Murder this past season, and big Viola Davis fan. Annalise Keaton is definitely a great actress. So that's kind of what we kind of trying to finish up. But I also started to get involved with the TV show Billions, which I'm kind of late on too, which is a really good show. But I know there's a lot of new shows out there. I usually keep them in the tuck until I go away. Yeah. I can knock them out real quick while I'm there.
I believe that. Favorite basketball shoes to hoop in?
Man. Right now I'm big on the Kyries. Not anyone in particular. But over the past few years I've been wearing a lot of Kyries, and the shoe kind of, is never too heavy and gives me enough support, and I usually like those.
Are you a guy like Ryan Rossiter? When you like a shoe, you'll buy like 10 pairs at once?
No, I don't usually do that. I usually I like to switch it up, different colorways, and always depends on what color the team I'm playing for. But usually I try to stay with a signature shoe and just try to find the colorways to match.
What's your favorite food spot up in the Capital Region?
Ooh, good question. Man, I don't even really have one that just sticks out, but when I am up here, I always kind of find myself at Juniors or Point. I usually find myself at those two places, so I'll go with those as my answer.
For sure. And favorite moment as a Siena player? I mean, I think obviously everyone can attest to the big moment, but is there maybe a second moment if that's not it?
I definitely think I think it was my junior year. I really just think the MAC tournament in general my junior year, simply because, or was it my senior year? It was either my junior or senior. I can't even remember off the top, but we were down in every game in the MAC tournament by at least 12 at some point, and came back and won every game that year. I think it was my senior year. We're down to Fairfield. The game before that, we're down to somebody else. So that MAC tournament in general, I think doesn't get enough, not talked about enough, in my opinion, because to do what we did in each one of those games, fight and come back and win those games, was definitely special.
What's the most points you scored in a game?
Let's go under the whistle. My first year in Slovakia, I had a 41-point game. Got to the line a lot. So 17 of those was at the line.
That always helps.
It helps tremendously. I'm like, dang, I should have been trying to get to the line for years. So yeah, that's my most points I had in the game.
Okay. Who would you say is the best player you ever played against, whether we know of him or not?
So I got two guys that pop in my head. You had Derrick Rose when we played against Memphis. And then a second one, which is guys you probably actually do know about, is Mike James.
Oh, yeah.
And he different. He's different. And I actually got into an argument with my coach about it, because this was 2 years ago. We were playing Italy, and he played for Milan. I forgot what he did. My coach just cursed me out. I'm like, I don't care who was guarding him at that moment. Nobody's stopping what he just did. So you can yell at me all you want, but there's nothing I can do with that. But yeah, Mike James is definitely a tough guard.
Who's one player you modeled your game after?
Growing up at that time, yeah, it was mixture of guys. I was a big Chauncey Billups fan, CP3, um, guys like Tony Parker, Steve Nash, a lot of guys at the one position were guys that I really like looking at and watching. And then of course, being a PA guy, Philly guy, and watching AI firsthand a lot. Even though not my game not really modeled after him, but just those are the guys that I kind of admired at the point guard and guard position coming up.
Yeah, AI is special, man. He plays basketball. What would you say is your favorite part about playing in the Time Junior?
Man, the fans, man. I think that was definitely our advantage, our secret, as the fan base that we had through the 4 years I was there. And we're fortunate enough to have all those MAC championships on our home floor. So I definitely think that was as special as how the fans got behind us. I think the student section grew over the years and really got behind us, because I think before we got there, I don't know if the fans were as into basketball, but obviously when you're winning, it changes things, and you really got those kids coming out and supporting us, and you felt that energy, whether it was in the Time Union or whether you're on campus.
Did you had you been to Siena before you got an offer, or?
No, I never been up this way.
So you obviously came up after you got offered.
Yeah, so after I got offered, I came and took my official visit, which was actually during winter break. So we didn't really do much. Like I got up here. I seen the campus, but obviously we weren't doing nothing with just the basketball teams here. We went to Coach Mack's house. We went bowling as a team. And, I made my decision pure off the things that I had mentioned earlier, was the values that Coach Mack brought, the guys that were coming in with me, and the guys that were already there.
Who hosted you?
I think it was Kenny, and Kenny was the main host, but Tay was around and Mike Haddox was around, but Kenny was the guy that hosted me on my visit.
And then once you're on campus, where would you say, like 9 times out of 10, someone was able to find you? Like what location on campus?
I was in Saga, basically.
Saga sitting.
I was in there posted faithfully, especially at the practice. I'm in there for hours, not even eating most of the time, just sitting and talking. Probably should have been doing homework or in the library or something. But that's where I feel like I've spent most of my time.
Yeah, with obviously this COVID stuff, they got a rule now this year: 30-minute sits at Saga for the fall semester. So no more Saga sits for the population.
That's tough.
Yeah,
I'm glad I'm not in school during these times.
If you could choose one Siena player that you haven't played with, who would it be?
That's a good question. Oh, man, that's definitely a tough question. I just think I think I would love to have a Mark Brown as my mentor coming up. Everything that he achieved and all the stories I heard about him. I would like for him to be a senior and I'm a freshman, so I can at least get some playing time for the years. But I definitely would love to have him as a mentor and playing up underneath him with all the success he had and as talented as he was, and at the size that he did it at. So,
a true Siena legend. Did you have any, or do you still have any pregame rituals or superstitions?
So I think at the pro level, I mean, it's always music wise. I'm always definitely need something that's going to get the blood flow going. To really to turn me up and get ready. I think me arriving earlier and earlier as the years have gone on. Growing up, I could just show up and play most of the time, not have to stretch. But now really getting in there early, getting a good stretch in, getting lathered, really kind of locking in. So it's definitely just, I guess you could say it just expanded as the years went on my ritual, but the music always stayed as a staple.
What would be one piece of advice you'd give to someone playing at Siena right now?
Man, I think one they got a good guy leading them around with my guy. I'm going blank right now. Oh man, Connor, who was actually the first person who met me at a rest stop on my way up here going to Siena on my visit. Really, man, just enjoy it, man. Just really put that time in the gym, which I think Siena does a great job giving access to the guys to take full advantage of that, getting in there and getting in some extra work. And just embrace it, man. A lot of kids at the mid-major don't really get to play in front of 8,000 fans on a night-to-night basis. Just really embrace it, give it 110 and just live in the moment.
For sure. So we're new to the podcast game. Obviously, we had to have you on as our first guest. Drop a name of someone affiliated with Siena basketball, a player, manager, coach, media personnel that you love to see on the podcast.
Oh man, I think to follow it up with me, I feel you got to go with somebody that was in my era, whether it be Kenny or Rossiter. Those two guys that pop out first, I think, be really great quality, really great answers.
Yeah.
Be very, very entertaining between those two guys. Those two characters right there would be good, I think, to hop on and for you guys to speak with. Or Tay Fish, too. I forgot about my guy, Tay. Tay as well. Would be another good guy to get on here to speak with you guys and answer some of these questions that a lot of, fans might have interest in knowing about.
Sure.
Definitely.
How can Siena faithful, if they want to follow you on social media, where can they follow you?
I mean, most of my info, I guess, is on Instagram, but the same user tag on Twitter as well. Is RDOT Moore 25. I usually try to keep people up to date, whether it's personal life or what's going on basketball related with me, or what's to come, whether it's more brothers related, and anything that's going on in my life at the moment. Try to keep people, give them a little something, but not too much.
Definitely. And speaking of social media, your Mello has over 500 followers.
Yeah,
more followers than most people.
Yeah, he might be outside right now running around. Yeah, he was a big hit. Guy. People love animals, man. Mello was the star of the show for a while. He's in his feelings now. He got booted. Now that my son's involved.
Yeah.
Everybody reaches out or wants to visit us now because of him. So, but yeah, they both got their own IG accounts now.
The power of social media.
Oh, yeah.
I know, right? I know.
Last thing, just any final thoughts to say to all the Siena fans out there?
Oh man, I definitely appreciate all the love and support you guys have given me while at Siena and post Siena. You guys always hold a special place in my heart. Albany 518 area. It's always gonna be second home. Anytime I run into you, any of you guys, is always all love. So definitely appreciate it from the bottom of my heart, and hopefully I see you guys in the near future.
Absolutely.
We appreciate you joining us, obviously being our first guest. We wish you a lot of luck coming up this year. I know we talked about before we started, you're going to be leaving in the next couple of weeks. So safe flight, safe everything. Hope you have a productive season. And I know the Siena fans will be watching.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.